we're not doing well. I don't know what they're talking about. These people are hungry. These people have no jobs. These people cannot send their children to school. So again, it comes back to good governance. Good governance. It is this. It is, I think, this attitude that, well, bahala na, mangutang pa tayo, tapos bahala na. Kasi 6 years from now, hindi na naman tayo yan. Problema na nila yan. And that's that kind of attitude is, and we are continuing to dig our nuts hole deeper and deeper and deeper. We have to make our systems, our institutions more efficient. So that if we have fewer borrowings, then we can use that money as efficiently as possible. And there again, we come up against the corrosive influence of corruption. I'm sure the oft-quoted statistic by the World Bank, which says that close to 45% of all foreign funding for foreign-funded projects is lost to theft, essentially, to corruption. So if you immediately fix that problem, we almost double your fund immediately. And so maybe you wouldn't need to borrow. But that is one. Inefficiency is another thing. You need to fix the inefficiency. The bureaucracy has been allowed to deteriorate because of politicization. They are politicizing even the bureaucracy. And of course, there's always an element of that. But I remember the time when the civil service was so qualified that the civil servants ran the government well. The civil servants could, when given, whoever was in charge, whoever was in place, the civil servants knew their job, they were well trained to do their job, and they did it efficiently and quickly. And we no longer have that, because we continuously, again, make these decisions as to merit, who should belong in the civil service, not on merit, but on politics. Tinulungan ako niya nung eleksyon eh. Bata ni ganyan yan, kailangan natin eh. There's always an element of that. But there has to be a hardcore within the civil service that is competent, that is committed to public service, and that is not politicized. Once we take out the politics, because it's those political decisions that are, it's the political thinking that is applied to non-political decisions that gets us into trouble.
So do you see that the national debt will follow the trend of polluting more instead of income?
Well, if we don't change the way the way we do things, then yes, it will be that inertia that I spoke about earlier. That that's ano bang ginawa noon? Nangutang tayo, hindi mangutang tayo ulit. Ganun ang pag-iisip. But that's one of the reasons that I joined the Nacionalista Party and under Manny Villar, because no person can have been so successful if they did not know how to run their organization efficiently and well. And I'm hoping he will bring those skills that he applied to his businesses to government. And he will see that the way government is run is not efficient, is not is not productive. And hopefully he will be able to institute those changes that are obviously necessary in the way government is run. We have to put back some common sense already into the things that we do. It's always politics. Dapat after the proclamation, tama na. Balik tayo. Even this idea that we have, that you see everywhere, because it belongs to the other guy, the project, they'll stop it. Even if it's maraming tinutulungan, even if it's a good project.
Like the Batanes there.
Well, that's one example, and many, many, many others. And you see it at the national level, and you see it at the local level.
By the way,
and that's not the way we should do
is
things.
it not the fact that during the time of the Filipino people were able to acquire their
Yeah.
paying for it, and then Joker Arroyo comes around and says he returned it to the losses, just like
For nothing.
yes.
Yeah.
What do you think about that?
I think we are suffering the consequences of those actions now. Again, political thinking applied to non-political problems. That's what gets us into trouble all the time.
Outright stealing from the
We have made that contention many times.
One of the things I look for when I'm trying to select a candidate is whether that candidate, after being elected, will still remain transparent. Because sometimes transparency is something promised during the campaign, but then you don't see it anymore afterwards. What would be your own personal style in terms of keeping yourself transparent to the people? That's
In what sense? Fiscally transparent, or?
Yes, and even in terms of your own disclosures, anything that's personal to you. Then number two, if just to start with the transparency question, are you? This may be unfair at this point because you may not be ready, but can you give us an idea what your net worth is?
What's my latest sal? My latest sal was, I think, 60 something, 70 something. I don't really know, but it was in that region.
61
million.
pesos.
Yes. I wish. I wish.
Okay.
If it was dollars, so pag on yun ng television, ako lang nang makikita ninyo. Binili ko na lahat ng time. But again, it's just I have an advantage. When I came back in 91, I started with nothing. Absolutely nothing. I inherited nothing from my parents but my good name. And that's why it's very easy for me to explain everything that I have. Because it is something, it has been the fruit of what I have done since my return from the United States to the Philippines in 1991. So, napakadali para sa akin. Wala akong for all intents and purposes, my financial life began in 91. Before that, it was derived from my father. After 91, it was all mine. So, madaling paliwanag, madaling ipakita kung ano yung mga pangyayari, ano yung mga naging, ano yung asset namin, kung meron kami pinasukan na project, kung kumita, magkano ang kinita ko.
So how are you supporting your family?
How do I support my family? Well, again, I can point to lots of assistance from friends of my father, back to the advantages of being Ferdinand Marcos. Marami silang binibigay sa akin na opportunities. Like businessmen that I know, they'll say, look, why don't you go into this? It looks like you can make a little money on that. And some of the properties that were sequestered, that were taken away, have been returned because we won cases. So dahan-dahan may mga lumalapit yun. Bumabalik sa pamilya, bumabalik sa akin. So it's again. I always tell my accountants and my lawyers, when you do the statement of assets and liabilities, be truthful. Because anything you put there, some kind of deception that you try and put there, mahuhuli yan. Mahuhuli. As we have seen with the past, in the last year, marami tayong nakita mga nagkahulihan sa statements of assets and liabilities. So, that's again, but I'm at an advantage because I can very clearly show that when I landed in Manila on late October 1991, my bank balance was maybe $250 or something. Wala talaga, kinuha sa amin lahat. They simply took everything away from us.
Great question about this man. Which path would you follow? Privatization? Or the management style of your dad, wherein the basic services are merong big say of government?
I think you have to differentiate